Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to what is our third in the series of our Talking Thames Valley Sustainability. And I'm delighted to welcome Louise Hughes as our guest speaker today. Louise is Head of Sustainability and Corporate Responsibility at Ericsson. And our host for today is Amerjit Dhillon, who is Environmental and Sustainability Manager at Karl Storz. And today we're going to be talking about leadership in sustainability. So Louise, over to you.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. Really pleased to be here today. And Amerjit, you're going to be asking the questions, so maybe we'll jump over to you.
Yes, thanks, Louise. Just starting off, can you share any examples of how large organizations can pioneer sustainability initiatives and set industry standards for smaller businesses? And how can they support SMEs in adopting sustainable practices and technologies?
Absolutely, can do. So just, I suppose, to set the scene about Ericsson a little bit, just for those that might not be familiar. So Ericsson is a global company, and we create communications networks that help people and businesses communicate, whether that's personally or, in the work that they do. We're headquartered in Sweden. Which means that we follow a lot of the European Union regulation, but we also focus on regulation based on where our headquarters, well, not our headquarters, but our smaller offices are. And we like to call ourselves a pioneer in the private sector for sustainability, because we've really been focused on it for the last 30 years, so long before it was mandated and regulated. And by doing that, it's really sort of embedded into our culture and our business strategy. So I think that there's a lot of learnings, and we have responsibility as a large business to share that with different communities. So across that 30-year period, I'll maybe just highlight some of the key initiatives that we've got. So we started really looking at the environmental impact of our own operations to really look at how we could use energy more efficiently when we both work in our offices, but also when we manufacture our products and services. Sustainability is quite a broad topic, so I thought I'd maybe highlight a couple of others as well. So, for example, we have a lot of very talented engineers working at Ericsson. So in 2000, we created a program called Ericsson Response, which is about engineers going and supporting with connectivity in disaster-affected areas. So that's really a way to give back to the communities in which we operate in. And another area that's sort of linked to that is digital inclusion. So we've set up a program called Connect to Learn, which is where, we're providers of connectivity, but how do we make sure that the people that use that, especially sort of teachers and students and people wanting to work in careers related to communications technology, how can they make the most of that and the opportunities that brings? So lots of our colleagues can volunteer to support with robotics, machine learning, workshops, that kind of thing. And then another key initiative I think that really helps us learn is being part of lots of partnerships and collaborations within the sustainability space. This is really a forum for people to sort of come together and network. So I think the responsibility of large businesses like us is really to test and learn. We also sometimes have an opportunity to influence other audiences, like policymakers, for example, which can really drive more systemic change at a global level. So we're really passionate about playing that role. I think we can do lots.
That's great. As I say, there's a lot that Ericsson's doing there, and especially over 30 years, and it's great to see that there is that progression and collaboration going on. Just specifically, what role do partnerships and collaborations play in advancing sustainability goals across different sectors, and how can large organizations facilitate these?
Yeah, huge role, I think. I always think about it as as if you're in a boat. You want everybody to be rowing in the same direction, and actually, if you want to achieve net zero, you need everybody to be, in the same boat with the all going in the same direction, all on the same training plan, all understanding the role that they play. Otherwise, you don't get anywhere. And actually, I spend quite a lot of my time advocating for collaboration in the tech industry, and it's a great place to be because everybody is so open, particularly on this topic, and everybody understands. You have to look the bit behind you and then also in front of you when it comes to sustainability. So I think it's a huge role. Maybe I'll share an example. So last year we concluded a piece of work with our customer BT. So people probably in this forum are familiar with them. And what we wanted to do was look at how we could reduce carbon emissions across the value chain that we have with them. So we started talking with one of our manufacturing partners that was based in Poland, and they had moved to 100% renewable energy, which basically, when we looked into it, meant that any Ericsson product manufactured there and then shipped to BT would benefit from a reduced carbon emission of 14 tons. Now, that's quite a small number in terms of BT and both Ericsson's, total value chain emissions. But what I think the example kind of helps demonstrate is we all have these very big, net zero targets with huge percentages related to them in 2040 and 2050 and things like that. But actually, when you take it down to the product level and just focus on these small initiatives and collaborate across the chain, you can deliver some concrete results. And then when you start to kind of multiply them, you see sort of where you're headed. So I think within the tech industry, really great collaboration taking place. I also think being part of sort of industry forums is really important. So, for example, myself, I participate in the Digital Connectivity Forum and their sustainability working group. Also with Tech UK, for example, and in the summer I'll be talking about Scope 3 data that is really important to our customers, and the approach that we're taking with that. And then also, Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce locally, where we operate, we all have very local issues that we care about, even if we belong to big companies. So how can we play our part in making sure that we contribute from a sustainability perspective and share? And then I think for small and medium enterprises, they make up so much of the UK economy. What we wanted to do a few years ago was we were one of the lead partners in the Exponential Roadmap initiative. And actually BT are part of that as well. And what we did was create the first business playbook for climate action. And it's a really kind of tangible playbook where you can look at the learnings from all the organizations that created it. And there's things in there about how do you leapfrog barriers, how do you engage your suppliers. So it's a really tangible guide that should hopefully help small, medium enterprises that don't have these big sustainability teams of, where do you start and where do you focus?
Excellent. I think that playbook sounds like a really good idea, especially kind of sharing the ideas that these larger corporations are doing and ensuring that the SMEs also have that fair kind of knowledge passed down to them. So yeah, no, exciting stuff. I know we've touched on it briefly, but could you please highlight some of the key initiatives or programs that have contributed to Ericsson's success in its efforts in sustainability?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So when we talk about sustainability at Ericsson, we're talking about 3 focus areas. So the first one is climate action, both, our internal climate action, what we're doing with the suppliers, but also how we help our customers with their climate action programs, which is also really exciting. And lots of the time is now sort of bordering into the sort of biodiversity and nature conversations, which I love personally. The second area is digital inclusion. So that basically means making sure that everyone has fair access to connectivity, because we know that gives people opportunities, but also I was kind of saying before about how we want to take a responsible role in making sure that people are equipped to use that connectivity in the best way. And then the final one is responsible business, which is all about, we want to make sure my colleagues here at Ericsson feel that, and that they know and they're assured that we only work with ethical practices, we do our sustainability regulation, and, we play our part in the collaboration piece. So there are 3 big focus areas. So maybe to make it a bit more tangible, if I just start talking about our supply chain. So I was saying before about the importance of what's behind and what's in front, and we're really fortunate that we work with lots of different suppliers. So we've got great supplier engagement programs, and what we did a few years ago was identified our most strategic but also highest emitting suppliers, and we got that to number 350. We have many more of that, but you have to start somewhere. We started to work with them to say, in order for us and also you guys to hit your net zero targets, we would like you to set your own 1.5 degree carbon reduction pathway targets. And we've asked them to do that by 2025. And already 237 of them have done that. So that's really what we want to show, is kind of collaboration with them to give them tips and hints on how they might do that. But also, I suppose that they're bought into our vision and they understand why that's so important to us. So supply chain collaboration is a key area. also our portfolio. So as I said at the start, our kind of main reason for being is to create communications technology. And what we want to make sure is that the products and services that we're manufacturing are have lower energy consumption, but also have reduced emissions. So we're making our products, and they're mainly sort of radio products, lighter and more energy efficient. And as we see operators, especially in the UK and in Europe, move to renewable energy, we found that because of the way that we're now engineering them and that move to renewable energy, you can actually reduce emissions per site up to 70%, which is awesome. And then finally, with our customers, so the bit in front of us, we want to use things like AI to innovate in this space, and we think there's a real opportunity there. So with Telefonica in Spain, what we did is we looked at the average traffic load on a different radio site, and then we were able to work out the optimum power consumption. So that we could enable deep sleep function when you don't need all that power sort of coming through the radio for no use. And that enabled us to also reach energy savings of up to 48% per radio, which is awesome too. So these are just some of the ways, sort of supply chain, portfolio and customer innovation are kind of the key three things that my team are driving in Europe and Latin America.
Wow, that's really good. I'm saying it's it's a big thing to tackle, the kind of supply chain, obviously measurement in data as scope 3 is such a big topic, but to have that engagement as well and having them on board to take part in these programs and do these reductions is really good to see. I just want to ask, so how does Ericsson balance its sustainability goals with its business objectives? And what strategies have proven most effective in integrating sustainability in its core operations?
So it's a good one, and I think this is definitely a journey. So what we've kind of approached our net zero target and reducing our carbon footprint with the same sort of rigor and commitment that we do for any other business imperative. So we set our target, and then we have concrete milestones, and then what we try and do is communicate how we're getting on to reach those targets. And we do that really because we believe that having sustainability integrated within the business reduces our risk, but it also increases our resilience. So for example, at the moment, we all know that temperatures are increasing. So at the moment we have a work stream looking at what is the impact of increased temperatures because of climate change on our network equipment, for example. So that might not initially seem like a sustainability initiative, but it is. But it's just not run by the sustainability team. It's run by the people that manufacture and monitor how our products operate when customers are using them. And I think that's a really key area of focus for us, is that the sustainability team aren't the owners of the sustainability targets. Actually, it's the people that develop the products. It's our sourcing teams that go and work with our suppliers. By kind of infiltrating the organization with sustainability, everybody kind of can attach themselves to the target a bit more then and understand the role that they have to play within it, rather than just the sustainability team. And don't get me wrong, we have a big sustainability team across Ericsson. We have our headquarters in Sweden who set the strategy, and then it comes to teams like mine who then sort of operate that more on a local level. But we have to have that integration with the people that make our products, the people that source our suppliers, to ensure that everyone plays their role in integrating it into the business. And I think something else that's been really key for us to make sustainability sort of a strategic topic is really showing the link between connectivity and the green transition. So, and the best way to do that is to prove it, right? So it's, how do we show that ICT that people are using, a more future-proof ICT, can actually help them achieve the sustainability ambitions that they have, and show that link. I think that's been really key for us. But that is definitely still a journey.
Excellent. That's great. I think with this, you need to have sustainability at the forefront of all aspects of the business. It's not just down to the sustainability team. It's got to be across the whole kind of different departments. And looking into the future, looking ahead, what future sustainability goals does Ericsson have? And how does the company plan to achieve them while continuing to collaborate with the industry?
Sure. Our net zero target is to be net zero by 2040 across our entire value chain, and we have, more near-term milestones that we'll hit to get there. But we're in good company, I think, in our industry, in the tech industry, because we're the largest purchasers, or one of the largest purchasers of renewable energy, and we have the most net zero pledges. So we're not on our own, which is really great to see. And I think, one of our biggest contributions will just be making sure that we have our own house in order, so that we, operate as sustainably as we can, and also we create products and services that don't increase energy consumption, and they break that energy curve of mobile networks, in fact, and that therefore when our customers use our radios in their network, they can actually see reduced emissions, which makes an impact on their scope 3. So I think that's our most kind of direct role that we'll play. But I think something that's sort of a new frontier and actually crucial, and I suppose it sort of links to what I was saying at the end of the last question, was around demonstrating the impact that ICT has on the decarbonisation of other industries. So kind of, as I was saying before, we're in great company in the tech industry, and we've got loads of sort of leaders in this space. But then how do we sort of step out of our lane and show other organisations, for example, across the Thames Valley, how might you use ICT to operate more efficiently, get more data into where your sustainability hotspots are, and then when you have that data, what do you do with it? What do you implement to make sure that you're running a sustainable operation? So the ICT sector, I think it is only responsible for 1.4% of the world's carbon emissions, which I think will shock a lot of people, because you think, ICT generates a lot, but it also gives more than it generates. So Ericsson research has found out that ICT solutions have the potential to enable 20% reduction of emissions, because of what we were saying before, understanding data-led decision making, for example, and using sensors to understand more about your business. And we talk a lot at Ericsson about 5G very passionately, because we believe that it's sort of an open innovation platform where you can invite new players, new small businesses can come and benefit off using these super fast networks that also then use less energy consumption, which is only a good thing for the environment. So I think our main bread and butter is making sure that our products and services reduce energy consumption and have a lower carbon footprint. But also then what we want to do is take it to the next stage and invite industries to understand a bit more. And when I say industries, I mean, healthcare, manufacturing, transport, utilities, those kind of areas, to see what the potential could be from if they integrate ICT solutions like 5G and AI into their practice, how might that then reduce their carbon footprint over time, which I think is a really exciting space for us. And that is probably our role of collaborating with the industry, a lot more than just sort of sharing our views on integrating sustainabilities, but it all works as that chain as well. So it's also sort of making sure that we provide the most value that we can.
Great. I think you're right there. It's all companies pretty much use some form of technology, and if you're investing that much in terms of obviously improving the practices, looking in AI and looking at the carbon footprint of the future, I think it's definitely worthwhile to transpose these into other industries and get everybody on the kind of the same page and working together with the collaboration and engagement. So really good. Just want to just end on, in terms of, in your experience, what are some of the common misconceptions about sustainability in large organizations, and how can leaders effectively address these to foster a culture of sustainability?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think the misconception is, if you are a big company, then it must be easy because you have resources. I sort of talked about the boat before, and you can have lots of people rowing in your boat, but if they're all rowing in a different direction, or someone read the map wrong, or didn't read the map at all, then you don't really get anywhere. So I think the misconception that I certainly feel is you actually need to spend more time getting people to lean in and understand. And I don't think it's necessarily that people don't want to know. I think most people care passionately about climate change, especially when you're starting to see it appear on your doorstep more and more often these days, unfortunately. And you only have to turn on the news to see more, demonstrations of how climate change is affecting the world. And so I don't think it's that people don't care. I think it's more that people have their day job and they think, I know there's a sustainability team in Ericsson, so they're doing their thing. So how do we engage people like that to understand what the role is that they can play in it? I think is really important. And one of the ways that we've tried to do this is, now when you book business travel, for example, you can see exactly. You can make choices basically on your footprint when you travel. We also have this, the way that we organize our sort of e-learning and our online learning is we have identified, I think it's 7 critical skills, and these are global. So these are all across Ericsson. And one of them is climate action, which I think is really important because to fully kind of integrate something, people need to know what it is you're talking about. And actually, sometimes a lot of the jargon in sustainability can be a little bit overwhelming, or the percentages or the dates, it's quite useful to understand why climate action is important, and therefore what are we doing and what more can we do. So I think that's one of the ways that we've really tried to kind of integrate it as well. And also our board. So our board is briefed very regularly on our sustainability programs. We launched our sustainability annual report in March, I think it was. And, that is really cascaded down throughout the organization, which really hopefully helps people kind of understand the role that they can play. When it comes to talent, I think it's really important for kind of attracting and retaining talent. So we hear from our colleagues when we do regular kind of pulse surveys to understand how they're feeling, that it's, they want to feel that they work for a company that has purpose. I think a misconception could be that you just work for a company that has a great sustainability program and therefore you feel fulfilled. Actually, we need to keep telling our colleagues what we're doing and keep inspiring them about the exciting things that are happening across the Ericsson footprint and how we're working with customers to bring that to life, which is really good. But because we also have that global presence, we do operate in countries where, they have varying degrees of complexity in geopolitics, business culture. So we use sort of integrity as one of our foundational values to really kind of reduce any risk to our company. And therefore we educate our colleagues again around that, which I think is really important for them. So yeah, I think one of the main ways of being successful about embedding sustainability into your organization is if your employees get it, they feel it, and they have a role to play within it. That's probably what I'd say. I mean, what about your business? How are you guys tackling this one?
So I think it's a similar sentiment really. I'm a team of 1 at the moment, work for UK. But the key thing for me is just allowing everybody to have that voice when it comes to sustainability. It's not a case of dictating what we're doing to everybody and what they should be doing, but let everybody else come with the ideas of, what could we be doing, so just continuing on that side really, and as similar to you, we've set our net zero target for 2040 as well, which is going to be obviously a lot of work to do. It's coming around very quickly, but from our side, it's obviously having that engagement, especially within the supply chain, and seeing what we can do from that side and ensure we create that pathway to achieve net zero. But yeah, at the moment it's a developing process. I'm definitely working on the staff engagement side. We run several campaigns throughout the year just to get people thinking about their environmental impact, even not just at work but in their private lives as well. And it's always comes back quite well, and people are always giving their ideas and celebrating what they're actually doing, which people don't usually talk about because they're only always focused about their job. So we're starting the journey, and we're continuing, and hopefully we develop on that.
Yeah, we did for Earth Week actually. We did, tell us tell us what you do personally. And it was really inspiring to just hear, you know, people using refillable cleaning product bottles in their home, and they were sharing pictures about it. And we had colleagues, so I also look after Latin America as well as Europe, who you know, water scarcity is a problem there. So like how one of them had, I listen to one song on Spotify while I have a shower and that's it, and then I'm out, you know, kind of thing. So it was really cool as well. Like you say, you don't want it just to be the work role you play, but also how people, because sustainability is an issue that people care about, you know, what they're doing in their personal life. So yeah, I think it's a journey, but I also think with more conversations like these, when you learn from others and get ideas, it's really where you can start to bring sustainability better into an organization and at the forefront of people's minds.
Definitely. No, I totally agree. No, that's great. Thank you for having that conversation with me today. It's been really insightful, and it's really great to hear about the work Ericsson's doing, especially, you know, over 30 years you've been thinking about this before it became a major topic. So hopefully everything goes well on your journey to net zero, and yeah, we'll catch up soon throughout the sustainability working group, I'm sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.